Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Vanny, I'm back in the Cafe Vanguard deck profile, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't come subscribe, this time we're covering the very last DZ deck 1 profile I have planned on doing, and probably the last one I will do unless something very unexpected comes up, and that is Lyrical Monasterio Marlean. So, as we've been doing for this last week, we've been doing all the DZ, demo decks for their set 1 upgrades, and, well, Marlean used to be both my favorite and one of my ones that I was the most annoyed by, simply because the ride line can duplicate PGs for some arbitrary reason. And now that I've come to see it, the deck kind of, like, it got upgraded in its offensive power, but because of what I changed, I can see that the deck has lost its defensive capabilities, and we'll see what I mean by that later. And the gist of it is, I was right when I preached to the heavens about different units work differently for different people. So let's just go ahead and get this one started, shall we? See what we got, and you can see what I mean by I was right when I said that statement. So first up, we have our energy generator. So it's our ride deck crest. You may have one ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck, when you would ride, put this card into your crest zone. If you want second energy charge 3. Continues may after 10 energies and auto at the beginning of your ride phase, energy charge 3. And then if you want to, by act once per turn, you can energy boss 7 and draw a card. You will never use that draw card skill. As we've been staying with all these other DZ start deck upgrades, all of them require high amounts of energy for the Vanguard skills to go off, so you will never use that skill that costs more than the majority. If it was one less and it costed 6, maybe, but considering that we don't have a consistent way to energy charge yet, it is definitely not worth it just for that draw. However, being able to get the energy charge 3 definitely helps out a lot every turn. And, you know, if you are going second, there is seldom reasons to use the energy charge energy blast 7 to draw a card, but also you have other ways to draw a card for a lot simpler of a cost energy blast 7. So yeah, maybe not that great, but hey, free energy, which is nice to have. We move on to our ride deck, or not our ride deck. We move on to our first card in the deck, and that would be our starter. We all know the ride deck is spread out throughout the video. So we have Wonder Lavender Ursorel, so grade 1/0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto replying for the second draw card. Standard starter, nest battle, just a free draw if you go second. You can really use any starter you want. None of the ride line requires her, but as we've been doing for the other videos, we're using the ride line that is, and the triggers that are used by the respective DZ, Divine Skill decks, because the Divine Skill decks and the demo decks share the same starter and triggers, so we're kind of trying to mirror them in that regard too. So yeah, with the bar exception being Wellster, because I accidentally forgot to change the PG, but we'll move that aside. Either way though, again, you can use any starter you want, but I just prefer Ursul because of the theme. Then we have our triggers. First of all, our over trigger, Mysterious Twins, Romia and Rumia. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. Over trigger, my over trigger in your deck. When revealed as a trigger, when that card, draw a card, choose one muse. It gets supposed to move for the turn, and if you've revealed it during your draw check, activate its suggested effect, which you get during this fight, you get during your turn, or your rear guards get plus 10,000 power. This is essentially a middle finger to anyone that, like, sees this, because if you pull this early enough, your opponent's dead, because this deck can spam out rear guards off the wazoo on turn 2, so aka grade 2 turn. So if you constantly have a full board past that point, free 10k to all of them means 20k to your rear guard columns and 10k to your vanguard columns. Persona ride turns, we don't talk about that. So all around, Romeo and Rumia are very powerful over trigger. You can run any of the Lyrical Monasterio overs that have the exact same skill, because all of them have the exact same skill, or you can run Volnut for restanding and multi-attack, or you could run a Spoiler for recycling and get more PGs back to hand. But I would say Romeo and Rumia, or just any of the Lyrical Monasterio overs, are the best to run, because if you pull it offensively, you automatically win the game off of numbers. Like, it's hard to survive this after 2 turns. Hell, if you survive 2 turns of it, you have my respect. You survive 3 turns of it, and then you win on top of that, I will never doubt you again. So one of Romeo and Rumia. And what I mean by survive it, I mean they constantly have a full board, and they are constantly hitting you with everything they have. I'm just making that clear. Then move on to our normal triggers. We run 3 copies of Transparent Snow Covered Knight and Bear Toy. Grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k power, continuous guard, so components vanguards are grade 3 or greater, so equals 5k shield. So you know, 10k shield is nice to have. It's also a draw trigger, so it helps increase the hand. We are constantly digging for more PGs, because it's very fun to have a deck that can casually have 4 PGs in hand all at the same time. So yeah, being able to dig for those is nice, but also just dig for our other offensive units, since we are constantly searching for PGs, and sometimes we may end up with triggers, so trying to draw our norm units more. But also in the sense of, it's just free 10k shield, so you know, if the 4 PGs is enough to defend you, you got this. So 3 of Bear Toy. Then of course we run our 8 crits, because we can throw caution to the wind and just go all in with the offense. Precious Tune Edwidge at 4, and then this can be any crit you want, but because, you know, the Divine deck runs it, then we obviously run it here. Cheerful Sunsign Walrus, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, again, can be any crit you want. And then we have the Edwidge, which is a grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 4k power. Critical trigger, auto rear guard, auto rear guard, they about the boosted, put it to soul, choose one means it gets plus 2k for the turn. You technically don't have to run this, but if you are doing what this deck kind of wants to do, and that is spam the ever-living hell out of Sia here, yeah, you're going to want the Edwidge for Soul. So 4 of Edwidge, she's nice to have because Sia combined with our new grade 3 support kind of puts us into soul problems. But 8 crit for pressure is obviously really nice. And then we have 4 Talkative Hour Tanmus, so grade 0 boost 50k show, 5k power. This can be really any here you want. Again, we're running it because of the theme, because the Divine deck runs it. You can run the effect heals if you want to. Personally, I don't like the counter heals too much because I feel like they're too situational, but if you want to run them, go ahead. But I like the consistent 15k show over the fluctuating 10 to 25. So yeah, that's it for our triggers. Now on to our grade 1s. 2 copies of the card I literally shoved in here because I didn't feel like going through the rest of the Lyrical Monasterio units, and I was like, screw it. I remember Saya exists. I'm going to shove her in here. I didn't think she would be useful. She immediately proved me wrong. So 2 copies of her. Munching Girl Sia, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 3k base. Auto, which is placed on rearguard circle. By soul blasting one, look at the top card of your deck, either call to an open rearguard circle, put it to your hand. If you put it to your hand, choose a card from your hand, discard it. The reason why she is still in this deck, even though I did not think she was going to be useful, is because the fact that her superior call skill makes the open boards so clear so quickly. And here's the other thing too. She can proc off her own skill because she can be placed from anywhere. Meaning you can, and you may think this doesn't happen often with only 2 of them in deck, but I promise you it has happened like half the time I use the skill. Place her on rearguard, Soul Blast, flip the top card. If it is another Saya, you call it to an open rearguard circle, Soul Blast again, and flip the top card. If you have another open rearguard circle, you call it. You just get 3 free rearguards. And hell, unless you have no way to call the thing to rearguard, you should always call it to rearguard, even if it's a trigger, simply because if you don't call it to rearguard, you're just going to lose a hand card anyways. So you might as well call it to rearguard because you technically gained a hand card since you didn't lose anything committing it to board. So 2 of Sia. Very solid, can help add board pressure, and trust me, in the early game, if you open up with even just 1 of them, you're good. If you open up with 2 of them, and especially in that way I just named it, oh baby, your opponent's not going to be able to handle your rush. 2 of Sia. Then we have 3 copies of Sharing Happiness for Nia, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rearguard, this unit boost to rearguard. If your persona this turn, counter boss 1, soul boss 1, choose over your vanguards, and it gets continuous vanguard. All your rearguards get plus 5,000 power until the end of that turn. At the end of that battle, put this unit to bottom deck. So sadly, she has to boost a rearguard, meaning she will only proc off which means at most you can only proc off twice, but the fact that she could proc off twice if you're willing to spend all of your CB in a turn essentially means your entire rear guard basically gets the over bonus without needing the over trigger, which is solid. And then she bot decks herself, meaning if you have more skills that call to open rear guard circles and you have more soul, this is why we need Edwidge, then suddenly this card in combination with Saya allows you to get so much pressure. I'm not even kidding with you. This deck has like a combo that I have not pulled off, but it is capable of getting 5 attacks. It involves Saya for Nia and I guess technically any other unit. Well, also it involves Marlean, obviously. But like this deck, in theory, can hit 5 attacks. It's just I don't do it often because I either don't have both pieces of the puzzle or it's just not worth it because I have game anyways. I don't need to overextend. So 3-0 for Nia, just a very solid grade 1 that can add power and it's just nice to have. And then we have 4 copies of Theater Lesson Laverty. So grade 1 boost, 5k shoot, 8k base. Auto when she's card from hand during your ride phase, you may call this card to rearguard circle as rest. All around pretty solid because as we've been stating with the other decks that run cards similar to these, especially because with these demo decks where the mana card's main skill comes from energy blasting, if you go first, you're going to have a lot less power in their energy regards. So being able to discard this and then not lose any hand cards from the ride deck and in fact get a rear guard out of it as well. But then next turn while your opponent's at grade 1 and you're at grade 2 because you went first, you can move this to the front row and then you have an 8k to bully their vanguard, or you do what this deck is intention to do and you spam say a left, right, and center, make a board, and then you have the benefits of an 8k. This deck consistently has a full board by grade 2 turn. Hell, this deck consistently has a board by grade 1 turn. I'm not even kidding with you. I'm being like dead serious. Like this deck can get a board on grade 1 turn, and this, or at least most of one, and then on grade 2 turn, it will most always have a board on grade 2 turn. So yeah, 4 of Lafferty, very nice for early game pressure, and also saves you soul if you want to try to pull off the BS Saya combo. For the record, the combo is you need the soul for this, so this is where Edwidge actually does come in useful. So double for Nia, you need at least 1 Saya, and then you need Marlean, and then you could have any unit, and pretty much what you do is you swing with a rear guard, then you use And then well, you assume with both of your rear guards, then you have Fernia proc off to bot deck it. Then you use actually one of the other units, the other rear guard has to be a different grade 3 that's not in this deck, sadly, or something that can send itself to soul. But Marlean then procs off, you bounce something, you call Seiya, and then you use Seiya to make another rear guard. There is a way to do it, and it's just not in this deck. But it's the funny the fact is that you could just change one card and automatically goes proccable. But we'll just save that for later. The first thing that comes to mind though is Annalise, the grade 3 that has 12k base. I can send itself to still get 5k. I would suggest if you really want to do that combo, replace this grade 3 with Annalise, because then you could actually do 5 attacks and you can do it on consistently on first grade 3 turn. Or you would have to do it percent of right turn. Actually, to be fair, you don't even need to use this card, but it's easier to pull it off with it. Anyways, on to our regular grade 1s. Now we move on to our PG. Have it while still warm Womalia. So grade 1 boost is 0.6k base, contains 7 after 4 slots on the deck. On playing guards, so choose 1 beats that cannot be in battle. And if your hand is 2 or more cards in it, choose a card from your hand, card to stand PG. Nothing too special about it. Basically means it doesn't have cards in hand placed on guard circle. You're not scoring, which is great, because that means you get as aggressive as you're winning the early game. And then when your opponent counterattacks you, you can just throw those down if you have no other hand cards, and you'll be safe. Typically, because of the existence of Seiya and Lafferty, you probably won't be able to use it in the early game because, again, like I said, you make a board real quickly, but half of it comes from the top deck. So, yeah, you can kind of just throw down this PG willy-nilly. The thing I wanted to mention earlier about different cards worked for different people, and I will get to my normal statement of you can use any PG you want from Lyrical Monasterio because all of them pretty much have the same skill, except for the one that came in the Assessus Trial deck. And that is the PG that I used before this card was released, Diva Christine, the one that is a mermaid and fits more of Kyrie's theme. I always drew my opening hand, meaning with the ride line I could clone a PG. Womalia, I don't. Even though it's the exact same card and it's the exact same skill, and the deck literally only changed the PG when I tried this out, because originally I forgot to change Christine and I ran the build with Christine and it still worked like it normally did. But even though the PG was the only thing that changed, I no longer draw the PG in my opening hand, which means I no longer consistently can get the PG search. My point is that different units work for different people. So basically the general consensus here is if cards don't work for you the same way they work for someone else, don't compromise that if that person says it's more optimal than your option, because if that card doesn't work consistently for you, then it probably isn't as optimal for you. So just take that as you will. If I was smart, I would go pick Christine, but because my argument says that the DZ skill ran this, by default I also have to run it because it also came at the same time as the DZ Stark deck bosses, so I'm stuck with Momalia. Hopefully she shows up more consistently before PGs because it's nice to have. Then we have arguably what is the best ride line in the game, and that is Heartwarming Lauricia. So, or the best grade 1 of the ride line in the game. So, 1 of in the ride deck, 3 of in the main deck. Grade 1 boost 5k shield, 8k base. Auto when she's rolled upon by resolve to sing until the end. Luis. Choose up to 1 grade 12 normal unit from your hand, called to rear guard. So, if you called a card, switch deck up to 1 card, the same card name as the called unit. Reveal it, put it to hand, and shuffle your deck. This card does one of two things. It either can, because first up, it can get you any of these grade 2s, which is fair, but you either call Fernia for setup, you either call Seiya for rear guards, you call Lafferty for setup, you call herself for setup, or you do the actual option that you want to try to see every game, because it's a normal unit, it's a grade 2 or less. You call Womalia, or any PG you're running, and then you add Womalia to your hand. And if you're wondering why you would call a PG just to deck them for another one, because the grade 2 can bounce it. So, search a PG, keep it alive for a turn, bounce the PG. Cool. And then the other skill continues rear guard during turn. If you have a grade 3 get Vanguard Marlean's card name, she gets plus 1,000 power. So 13k. It's worth running in the main deck just for that reason alone. Like, it's call fodder, worst case scenario, if you have nothing else, because technically speaking, Lafferty you only want to use for ride deck fodder. Past that, you kind of just have PG fodder for the rest of the game, so Lauricia is basically the better call target of the two that are 8Ks, so being able to clone herself is pretty nice and have a constant 13k, but yeah, most of the time, you call the PG, you search a PG, you keep it alive for a turn, you bounce the PG. So, 3 of the main deck of Lucia, 1 of in the ride deck, good 13k base, and literally the best grade 1 ride skill I've ever seen, considering what it does. Let me move on to our grade 2s. First, we'll run 4 copies of Playful Scribbling Siri, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when she's placed on rear guard circle during your battle phase. If you have a grade 3 grade Vanguard Marlean in her card name, she gets the toughest power for that turn. So, she is the most powerful. Well, she's not the most powerful of the grade 2. She's one of the stronger ones on the simple fact it was because all the grade 2s, except for some reason Ursa Largest, all the DZ Start bosses got a grade 2 that gain the 10k power with they have a specific Vanguard and do a specific skill. In Ceri's case, is being placed during the battle phase, which, you know, considering you can bounce stuff and then, you know, superior call stuff like Floor or Seiya, who both can superior call from top of deck. I mean, Floor can't call Ceres, so that's fair, but like the fact that there are many cards that can superior call her so you can get more attack loops. Either way, though, being able to get a free 10k is great because Marlean gives her another 10k, meaning if you call her from Marlean's skill, she's automatically a 30k, plus maybe the existence of this grade 1, 35k, because this grade 1 would have to be proccing during Persona, right? That means Ceri is at least a 45k. All around, very solid grade 2, has numbers, has pressure, does it all for free. What's not about it? Easy 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Dazzle Bubble Paradise Priscilla, grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. I don't know why I like her art so much. All of us know I'm normally biased towards the moon, but I really love like the sunshine feel in her little coat and like her water gun blast, which is so cool. And also her hair, just like all of this art I really love about it. Anyways, grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. All when she's put on guards from hand, or guard from hand to while riding from ride deck. Kind of boss 1 energy, boss 3, draw a card. This deck actually has the best one in terms of CB management out of the last few, because typically you only need to use this once. So your CB is kind of free simply because Marlean likes to flock to the hand, at least for me she does, and even when she doesn't, you can just kind of boss 1 just to search another copy of her. So typically, you have the CB to use for this one, or if you do go second, you get a 3 free energy at some point to use as a free draw, which is nice. So all around pretty solid there that you can either choose to draw a card while discarding for ride deck via energy or counter blast, or, you know, if you're being pressured into a defensive option, you can put her from hand to guard circle and then possibly draw more defensive cards. And then her other skill is auto, which is put on rear guard circle of Persona of this turn. This skill you will use less often. Counter blast 1 energy, blast 3, choose one view into end of turn, it gets plus 5,000 power, and then you choose a rear guard, return that card to your hand at the end of your turn. So basically you give that unit 5k and it gets bounced back to hand at the end of the turn. So, you know, you could possibly pick Lucia or PG if you're rushing but you're not sure if you can kill that turn, or Farina or Seiya for more looping. Like, the possibilities are endless, and Priscilla is all around a very solid grade 2. I think her skill is good. The only downside is, like, you really only use her first skill for the CB, because typically for board presence, your board is mostly full, so you don't need to place her, and you typically already have Fernia on board. So when it comes between the CBs of that one, you either want the, you know, full board 5k or 1 unit 5k, and typically you're gonna pick full board 5k. But either way, though, she's very solid. She can help be defensive. She can help recycle ride deck cards, worst case scenario, and worst case scenario, if you do have a Persona return, she can either help add more numbers or guarantee that you will survive to your next turn, because this deck loves to bounce PGs for Priscilla. Then we have our last grade 2 in the deck, 1 of in the ride deck, 3 of in the main deck, and that is resolved to sing until the end. Luis, grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. Auto choose roll upon by a grade 3 card with Marlean in this card name. Choose one of your rear guards you may return to the hand. If you return a card, you may call this card to rear guard circle. Again, use Lyrica, call a PG, keep it alive for a turn, ride to Marlean, use Luis' skill, bounce the PG, call her, you suddenly have 2 PGs. And then her other skills continues guard circle. If you have a grade 3 good Vanguard with Marlean's card name, she gets plus 15k shield. Or she gets plus 10k shield, so she's a 15k shield. Which means not only do you get 2 free PGs, but at the same time, you also have a 15k interceptor, meaning you don't have to use these PGs immediately. All around pretty solid, and she's typically your first, unless you have access to Ceri, she's typically your next best bounce and call target, unless you have access to her, which also works. But either way, though, very solid grade 2, has shield, instigates the loops with literally the best grade 1 ride deck in the game, in my opinion. So 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. It's a very nice defensive option. It's just good to have. Then we have 4 copies of our first grade 3, Beloved Girl that resonates on hit, Respino. Again, if you want to do the 5 attack combo that, by the way, I literally made up in this video. Like, literally the first mention I said of it, that was me thinking about it in the process. So you literally heard me recreate a strategy out of nowhere. But I don't know what the hell just happened there. But anyways, Respino, if you want to do that combo, replace Respino with, I forgot what her name was. I think it's Annalise, the grade 3 with 12k base. Anyways, Respino skill, grade 3, 10% 13k base. Although she's returned from rear guard to hand. Oh, I thought you were on place from hand. Huh, well, there's Marlean's Barnes target. If you have a grade 3 good Vanguard of Marlean, it's card name, card boss, want to draw a card, because the thing you bounce from Marlean doesn't have to be the same thing that you call. So technically, this doesn't have to be your bounce target. It can be your call target, but I guess now you do have a bounce target. See if you want to draw a card. All around pretty solid. Another option for drawing outside of Priscilla, which is nice. And then auto rear guard when she attacks into anything. But soul blasting 1, she'll get plus 5,000 power for that battle. And if you soul blast a grade 3 guard of Marlean in her card name, she gets plus 15 instead of 10, or instead of 5. So we went for number stacking. I don't think they needed this on the simple factors of, I mean, yeah, cool, we have another rear guard, which means Marlean can bounce something else to get the skill, except the thing is, though, it feels like it wasn't necessary because you want to bounce Respino so you can get that draw. So I don't know, and she does compete with Soul with stuff like Seiya, who I will say Seiya is really good. If she doesn't work for you the same way she works for me, fair enough, but she's been proven really good for me. And then for Nia, which also competes with Soul, because you also want to do double for Nia. But all around, if you have the Soul to use Respino, she is a very good grade 3 to have, and she does, again, add hand cards if you bounce her to hand via Marlean, making her a bounce target. So she's a nice 4 of, but if you do want to do the 5 attack combo, make her an Annalise from the first booster set of Lyrical Monasterio. Then we have the last card in the deck, 3 in the main deck, 1 in the red deck of our main grade 3 Love Call Marlean, grade 3 10% 13k base, act Vanguard Circle once per turn, counter by counter blasting 1. You get to search your deck for 1 card with the same card name as it, reveal it, put it to hand, and shuffle your deck, and she'll get plus 10,000 power for that turn. Really good skill. Again, like I've been saying for the other DZ starter deck bosses, you do not have to search a copy to get the 10k. You can just CV1, shuffle your deck, get 10k, and then auto Vanguard Circle when this attacks into a Vanguard by energy blasting 4. Choose one of your rear guards, bounce it, and then choose up to 1 grade 3 unit card from your hand, call to an open rear guard circle, and it will get plus 10,000 power for the turn. All around pretty solid because guaranteed no matter what you call is going to be at least a 14k, assuming that you call it the weakest unit in this deck, Bear Toy, which is a possibility, but that literally is the weakest unit in the deck. So at the very least, everything that it calls would be a 5k drop on guard of a grade 3, unless they have a 15k base power, MLB, or unless they see triggers, which all around is pretty solid with Marlean. And again, we have call targets such as maybe, or bounce targets at least in the form of Respino. We have call targets in the form of Seri and to some extent Persia and Seiya as well. And if you want to pull out the 5 attack combo, again, Annalise. I keep referencing the 5 attack combo because I'm genuinely proud that I thought of it in the moment and that you can run it in the deck. It just requires a little bit inconsistency, but it can work because remember, what's her name? Fernina's skill does stack and it lasts for the turn. And if you play 2 of them, the Vanguard has the skill of the over trigger, meaning guarantee whatever you superior call is going to get that 10k. So all around pretty solid, and just all around Marlean's pretty good. She gets the multi attack, she gets the search, she gets the 10k. She's just a very good grade 3. And without further ado, I'm going to someone here. Hope you guys enjoy. All around, this deck is very fun to play. Whether you are doing the superior call in search of PGs via the ride line skill and adding them to hand, or you're doing some 5 attack shenanigans with Annalise combined with Seiya combined with double Fernina, or you're just drawing a bunch of cards via all of our draw engines, or you're just beating your opponent to death with a 30k beat stick, it's just fun to play. So without further ado, I'm going to end this one here. This was it for the DZ set 1 decks, so I really hope you guys all enjoyed these. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us on Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to send up your Vanguards.